About 25 years ago I began to collect literature, scientific objects and optical toys. These rare items, dating back 5 centuries, introduce us to an important period in the history of visual media. They make very clear the development of photography and the possibilities of films and television as a means of expression, and, almost encyclopedically, demonstrate many forms of work with pictures as the precursors of the modern computer. They are an essential component of our cultural heritage. But unfortunately, much of the past has disappeared. Many steps have simply been forgotten. Playing hands have destroyed much through curiosity and use. As the kinetic and optical arts are so complex, and were not originally directed towards developing our present world of visual media, the journey back to the beginnings of media art is very difficult. The attempts to reconstruct these early stages have been rare and mostly unsystematic. Media Magica is my personal attempt to fill in the gaps, to present largely unknown objects and possibilities which led to expression through film. Media Magica. Beyond the image. Cinematographic objects from the Werner Nekes collection. The earliest published description of the camera obscura is in a commentary by Cesariano in 1521 on Vitruve's 10 books about architecture. Cesariano describes how the monk Don Papnutio is able, in a dark room, to view the outside world projected onto a sheet of white paper behind a small hole. He writes, "Everything in heaven and on the earth, in all its colours and forms, the wonderful laws of heaven and the nature of the winds are as clear as a coin under water." Cesariano is a pupil under Leonardo da Vinci, whose illustrations of human proportions are also printed in this book. Leonardo is also the first scholar to compare the human eye to a camera obscura. Daniele Barbaro, 1568, in his Practica della Prospettiva, refers expressly to Dürer's diascopic art, which uses a tool to produce perspective. He's also the first to describe the use of a lens in the camera obscura as a further technical aid for the artist. He realises that a smaller hole produces a considerably better focus on the paper. About 1560, Giambattista della Porta founds the Academy of Secrets in Naples, It admits as members only people who have discovered a secret of nature. However, the Academy is closed after a short time by the Pope because members are engaging in the magic arts at their meeting. In his Magia Naturalis, published in 20 volumes in 1569, Porter describes the camera obscura so completely and in such detail that many people think that he is its inventor. Athanasius Kircher's version of the camera obscura. Forms of the camera obscura. It would have been possible to take photos with these instruments. All that was lacking was a knowledge of chemistry, which would produce photogenic pictures. This development would have to wait for the inventor of the negative, Henry Fox Talbot. In 1844, he called his invention the pencil of nature. A tent camera obscura, similar to that developed by Johann Kepler about 1600 for surveying. A prism projects the picture onto the drawing board. Daniel Schwenter, in his book Mathematical and Philosophical Recreations, 1636, explains his invention, the ox eye. It is the first swivelling lens for the camera obscura. He describes how Hans Hauer sketched a panoramic view of the city of Nuremberg with the help of the ox eye. The shoemaker's or lace-maker's bowl, filled with water, serves as a condenser or as a lens. It collects the rays of light. Already in 1665, Robert Hooke describes in his book Micrographia its use to concentrate light rays in order to be able to use his microscope at night. It enlarges the flea to a size that one cannot possibly see with the naked eye. With his sun microscope, Liedermüller projects living microscopic worlds in 1763. A camera obscura for drawing by Frobenius Liedermüller. A handy form of the camera obscura with adjustable focus, similar to that described by Johann Zahn in 1685 in Oculus Artificialis. In 1735, William Cheselden constructs a camera obscura that is 1.8 metres long for his Anatomy of Bones. With it, he is able to reproduce the anatomy of bones in the right proportions much more easily. Cheselden's Osteographia is the first book completely illustrated by pictures drawn with the help of the camera obscura. Vermeer's double-eye camera obscura for drawing. The picture is sketched on the first screen, while the second screen allows for the checking of colours. The camera lucida, invented in 1806 by William Hyde Wollaston. Viewing through the prism enables the drawing to be seen on white drawing paper. The Lorraine mirror, a black wide-angle mirror, is named after the French painter Claude Lorraine. It makes the view of the landscape smaller and reduces the colour contrast, and thus makes a greater harmony of colours possible. In 1666, Newton, while researching white light, realizes that it is composed of all the colours of the spectrum. When the world is seen through a prism, colour spectra appear on every contour. About 1700, entertainers begin to wander through Europe and to give performances with peep shows and magic lanterns. The zogroscope, around 1790, the skeleton form of the peep show, makes it possible to travel the world via pictures at home. The peep show is a reversal of the principle of the camera obscura, in which, or with its help, views are sketched. In the peep show, views are observed. The entertainer mostly shows views of foreign cities, cathedrals and palaces. In front of the castle at Vincennes, Westminster Abbey, the interior, St. Paul's, the Palace of Oedipus at Thebes, the London Exchange, workers in a field with a city view behind them, a celebration in Versailles, Mary Le Beau in London, a canal in Amsterdam, Le Havre. The mystery of perspective was no sooner mastered than scholars began to study its irregularities. In 1638, Jean-François Niceron, in his Perspective Curieuse, deals with many anamorphous forms. In the Abbey of the Minimes, near Rome, he distorts the length of a picture. The bottom picture should actually be seen at the top left. It is only possible to recognise the motif of the distorted painting from an extreme side angle. In 1648, a fellow monk, Emmanuel Maignan, describes how he also constructed an anamorphic length perspective in the same abbey. About 1700, in Augsburg, Joseph Friedrich Leopold presents a leopard in an anamorphic length perspective. The Enchanted Castle, or Perspective Run Mad, an English jigsaw puzzle made in about 1830. An altered viewpoint produces the illusion of three-dimensionality. A French elongated anamorphosis, 1868, from Marseille. comic German postcard from the turn of the 20th century. The Berlin Perspective Egg. The painting is distorted in order to give a flat view on the surface of the egg. A Dutch cone anamorphosis from about 1700. French watercolours from about 1800. In 1712, Jacob Leupold publishes construction plans for machines that could produce a long, conical and cylindrical anamorphoses. This is an aid to artists for whom the geometrical construction is too complicated. He writes, "It is possible to produce distorted pictures which, when viewed from a particular viewpoint or through a mirror, assume their normal perspective." Cylindrical anamorphoses made by Büraker in Nuremberg about 1760. An 18th century cylindrical anamorphosis, England. A Dutch ship with 3 masts. The letter A from France. An American series that used many motifs from a French series. From a German series made in the 19th century. An erotic Chinese representation. A French mocha cup. '17th century perforated pictures which become visible when light is shone through them. religious pictures from India that are even today perforated in tin. A skeleton leaf, 1817, from France. When a light is shone through it, it shows the silhouette of Vendôme Square. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. Skeleton leaves, made around 1850. A Greek relief in a shell, about 1800. When a light is shone through the shell, its thickness determines the degree of luminosity. In 1828, the production of lithophanes began in Germany and France. A wax mould was pressed in relief onto unglazed porcelain. The picture could only be seen with the use of a light source behind the image. In this Italian papyrophane, the thickness of the layers of paper, which are glued one over another, produces a picture when light is shone through it. The varying thicknesses of the paper shows Leonardo da Vinci in a watermark. Probably the oldest form of play using light is the hand shadow play, a performance by the Indian artist Prasanna Rao, who began his career as a hand shadow player at the court of the Maharaja of Jaipur. More than 2,000 years ago, shadow plays were developed in Asia as magic religious rituals. Each region developed its own specific narrative picture language. Nang Yai, the royal shadow play in Thailand, large immovable pictures of Ramayana motifs held by dancers both in front of and behind the screen. Tolu Bumalata, or Dancing Leather Dolls, is a shadow play from India. The colourful life-size dolls are among the largest movable shadow play puppets in the world. The shadow players of the city of Xi'an in a traditional Chinese play, The Crane and the Tortoise. The Thai folk theatre shadow players Nang Talung. With the help of transparent coloured mobile single figures, not only Ramayana episodes are presented, but also folk tales and didactic political narratives. battle between heroes in the Wayang Perva, presented by the Javanese Shadow Theatre. Dalang Wayang Vija from Bali, developed from themes in the Balinese version of 1001 Nights, the Wayang Tantri. He is one of the few shadow players who still uses the fluttering light of an oil lamp to produce shadows. The Egyptian shadow play goes back to the 11th century. It was one of the most popular forms of drama in that country until around 1940, when it was replaced by the cinema. It is to be feared that Zaki al-Harish and his fellow players will be the last shadow players in Egypt.
الله يا عم رد عليا السلام.
ارد عليك السلام. ارد عليك السلام.
ايوه رد عليا السلام. انت تروح لحالك وانا اروح لحالي.
يعني ارد عليك السلام وتروح لحالك
وانا اروح لحالي.
قول يا ابني.
يا عم السلام عليكم.
وانا اروح لحالك.
Ben eşekle vedalaşacağım.
The Turkish shadow play Karagöz, the Dark-Eyed Man. In the adventures related in these old stories, current events are often interwoven. Karagöz is a man of the people, coarse, obscene, and always badly done by.
Senin kafanı yereceğim. Kaç! 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 Kaçtı zırıltıdır benden korktu. Hadi de! Karagöz, senin canın kıymetli mi? Benim canım kıymetli. Öyleyse ben eşekle bir dolaşayım, seni rahatsız etmeyeyim. Olur. Sen arkanı dön, senden utanıyorum. Sende utanacak surat var ya, peki ben arkamı döneyim. Hadi bakalım, sen utanma öyleyse. Zırıltı gitti galiba. De ulan de. Eyvah, bizim eşeğin başını evde unutmuşuk ya. Yahu!
The Greek shadow play Karagiosis is also folk theatre. It is based on plays of Turkey, but has its own language forms. It is the only European shadow play that uses the colourful world of Asian characters.
başlayacağız ama. Yalla que haces tu beso yer. Ya sonra blanco, yalla yalla.
The relevant literature often describes these spheres as Chinese shadow balls. The oil flame, set according to Cardano's principle, shines upwards even when the ball is rolling. The geometric cutout patterns form abstract shadow pictures. But the openings also provide the flame with air. These two balls, showing an Asian influence, were made in Germany and Italy about 1700 and were primarily used as hand warmers during the cold winters. Chinese magic mirrors have been known since the year 400 before Christ. When sunlight falls on the shiny side of the mirror, a Buddha in relief on the other side can be projected on a white surface in a shadowy outline. A Dutch series of pictures entitled Art and Fire, dated 1634, were produced for the Chinese fireworks. They were presented as an optical show. In order to increase the colourful effect, silk material was pasted behind many of the holes. Light shines through a coloured disc behind the pictures, and the disc is revolved by clockwork. Only the pictures have survived, so in order to show their probable use, I have rebuilt the box and the revolving disc. I used a model of an 18th century Dutch box operating on the same principle. The following objects come from an 18th century series. Verwacht noch beter. Expect something better. The world wants to be betrayed. An advertisement about 1800 for a manufacturer of both herbal and paint mixtures. This peep show from Germany about 1800 uses the heat produced by a candle to turn a coloured cylinder. The changing coloured light combined with the picture produces a kaleidoscopic effect. It can also be used as a lamp to cast shadows. Three candles cast 3 shadows. The very large Nuremberg Shadow Theatre around 1800 with movable parts. Lavater's Silhouette Chair. John Caspar Lavater's Fragments of Physiognomy, 1778, creates an immediate popularity of silhouette art of all kinds. Inspired by Lavater, Gilles Louis Chrétien in 1786 builds his physionotrace, a mechanical silhouette cutter which can produce and multiply portraits in the shortest possible time. This introduces a new mechanical silhouette style. A portrait sitting lasts only 3 minutes. A silhouette à l'anglaise is ready in 1 minute. Already in 1648, in his book on perspective, Jean de Breuil makes it clear that the form of a shadow can be completely different to the object casting the shadow. This difference is the theme of Charles Bennett's Shadow Picture series 1860 under the title Shadow and Substance. Movable Shadows by Newman, published around 1860 by Dean, is one of the earliest books with movable images. The figure in the middle has George Washington's profile. The shadows of Jouet Séditieux from around 1800 reveal secret political opinions. In this unique French chess game, about 1810, all the knights and pawns, whether black or white, have the hidden profile of Napoleon. Megalographs are negative cutouts which cast a positive shadow picture on the wall. Mozart. Schiller. A very rare mechanical megalograph from England, 1820. Joey Grimaldi, the clown. A French fan with movable shadow figures, 1800. A French shadow theatre uses a perforated coloured roller blind, France, 1880. French shadow theatre about 1880 with interchangeable figures mechanically transported on a chain. In this French shadow theatre, the figures are mounted on a circular disc, which is turned by clockwork. A stencil for shadow figures, about 1900, France. Shadow lamps are still being made today, as this example by Sibyl Hofter from Berlin shows.